Summit. Um, I know you are putting to use all that we have been saying. I'm happy to be here, and I'm equally happy to know that you are watching from wherever you're watching from. Thank you very much for joining. We are committed at Economic Summit to making sure that the best of you is out. And your economic activities, your finances, wealth creation strategies. We are committed to making sure that you have all of the best. And each week we go in to do lot and lot of research, and so that you can be steered up. That's my popular story I share all the time. What we want to do here is to make sure that you are steered up until you don't know that force. You don't know that force that gets you going. You see, I've authored a book, and the title of the book, of course, I've authored several books, but this particular book, I call it Driven by Voices. Every man is driven by a certain voice at every point in time. For voice of success, voice of failure, whatever. Everyone, there is no one who is just static. There is no one who is in motion without something keeping them at that state. Isaac Newton says that everything continues in a state of rest or a continuous motion, except a force is applied. And that force is what we want to keep inside, lock in your spirit, lock in your mind, so that you become the best version of yourself. I've said it time and again in this place that you are the best version of yourself is what attracts the material equivalent. The material equivalent. Now, at Economic Summit, we do this every Thursday, making sure that you become a better version of yourself. So, our primary vision here is so you can get to the height, to the peak of your finances, of your career. At a very young age, I've been so fascinated by wealthy and successful people. In fact, not just successful person, you must have a whole lot of money. I'm fascinated by that. Well, other things might fascinate different. I mean, you or other things fascinate a lot of people. Now, I remember that I was listening to a guy who said something. He said, if I mention the name Bill Gates, he said, what comes to your mind? A lot of us were looking what exactly comes to mind. They said, of course, Microsoft. Said, and what? A lot of money. Oh, yes. He said, whenever people mention your name, what comes to their mind is what defines them in their mind. I mean, defines you, sorry, in their mind. Permit me to say Jesus Christ at some point said, who do people say that I am? And because who people say that you are have a lot to do with, has a lot to do with how they relate with you, how they do business with you, how they interact with you. So on Economic Summit, we are committed to making sure there is a steering inside of you to pushing you to that direction you are supposed to be in life. And we're talking about money, we're talking about finances, we're talking about wealth creation, we're talking about you making the billions, because I know that ordinarily a lot of people have been wired in such a way that they just want to remain small. But you can't remain small listening to us every Thursday. So welcome again to another episode of Economic Summit. Um, in Economic Summit, in the last few days, we have actually been looking at a very important topic. It's been a series now. Um, how certain people started their life, because when we started teaching, we found out that we need to get down to how some people how the so-called billionaires that we talk about, how did they really start? How they started. And we're talking about the world's biggest company, how they started the world's biggest company. Now, we have established that the world's biggest companies were at some point just an idea in the minds of the founders, were just ideas. And from the idea stage, it moved to the days of small beginning, the days of just okay, let's start from where we were, and on like that. We've talked about Microsoft, we've talked about Apple Incorporated, and several other companies like that. The Nas Daily guy we talked about 3 days ago, I that the thought of those guys' decisions has never left me. How could somebody say that I made a decision that I was going to do a particular thing for 1,000 days, and at the end of the 1,000 days, he was moved to tears. He said to himself that he was not the most committed, it was not the most this, but for him to have done that in 1,000 days, and what exactly did he do? He actually said to himself he was going to be creating a minute video in every day for 1,000 days. A minute video every day for 1,000 days. And one of the things I said that of course I agree with, and I mentioned it in one of the episodes, that is, he mentioned that those 1 minute videos sometimes can take them 10 hours of strategies until they come up with it. And he mentioned that he told himself that at least by 1 p.m. of every day he must have come up with a video idea. And one of the things I love in the video that he said, I think and think and think and think and think. It is not like every time he wakes up there's an idea of a video on his lap. No, he took time out to making sure that the commitment he has given himself, he followed it through. And today, of course, his name is very special, Nusha Nishim. He said something that he didn't actually come from a well-to-do background, and despite those odds, I say all the time, I like to read people who have grasped a great story. How exactly did you do it? I'm fascinated by that also. So, Economic Summit is here to making sure that we steer something inside of you. And that's one of the things we want to do tonight. What fears are keeping you from starting a business? We found out that some people, in my conversation with a lot of people, okay, let me say this first of all before then. I remember that a lady visited me a few weeks ago, and she was really thanking me for the idea or the decision that the idea of Economic Summit. That there was one particular episode she listened to, and straight away she started making decisions. I am super excited about that. When you listen, it is not, so to say, it is not such that you will listen and at the end of the day is, oh, okay, I really enjoy what he says. He seems to have the fact and figures about these guys and what have you, but that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the decision to start something, the decision to take steps because you listen to what you hear, is important. So we are looking at what are the fears that are keeping you from starting a business. What are the fears that are keeping you from starting a business? Of course, I've listened to people who say when it comes to business, please count me out. I'm not interested. Let me just get on by and by. No, 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 no. Of course, some have resigned to life, resigned to fate like that. That all they want to do with life is just to get by and by. But there is more to life. That is the reason why we're here. There is more to life. Everyone who is up today started from somewhere. So, what fears are keeping you from starting a business? I want to say that even the most confident people, successful entrepreneurs, the billionaires we have talked about, have insecurities. They have their fears too. Fear is just a natural tendency in everybody. You know, so even the most confident people, successful entrepreneurs, billionaires, they have their insecurities and fears. But how come today they are who they are? It is because they have overcome their setbacks, their failures, their fears, their insecurities. And that is what we want to discuss tonight. Let's get to identify with you those your fears. Let's get to identify with you with those your fears. And if time permits us, we're gonna if time permits me tonight, I'm gonna also tell you the things to do to overcome them. But if tonight, um, I will just share with you my thought and the thought of other billionaires out there. What they say about your fear. Are they natural? So we must get to know it. What are the fears? Let me start by saying that if you have solved a problem for yourself before, if you have solved a problem for a friend before, if you have solved a problem for your spouse before, if you have solved a problem for your neighbor before, if you have problems and you have solved them before, or you have not solved all of them, then I want you to know that you are qualified to start a business. Did you hear what I said? If you have solved your problems before, if you have solved problems for your son or your daughter before, you have solved a problem for a friend before and they were satisfied. If you are in the past had difficulties or challenges with issues and you are able to devise a means to bring in solution to that thing, then you are qualified to be a business owner, because number one thing in business is to solve a problem, of course, for exchange of values, monetary values, or whatever. So, whatever. So, if you think, oh, I'm not interested in this business you talk about, I'm not interested in the so called thing you're doing, I don't want to go into business, but I want you to know that if you have solved someone's problem before, then you're qualified to have a business, because business is essentially solving a problem. Business is essentially solving a problem or meeting a need. Maybe you were in a vehicle and someone needs your shoulder, or maybe, of course, that's literally. If you have been able to say, you hear somebody says is in a need and you meet that need, I tell you that is a business. What do I mean? Because business is solving a problem. Business is solving a problem. So the number one thing, okay, maybe just note this down, that if you feel, oh, I like my 8 to 5 or 9 to 6 employment. I don't want to get into this so-called business of a thing. I'm not wired for business. I want you to say, well, of course, if we use the word wiring, some people are wired for it. But I want you to know that the number one thing in business is to solve a problem, and then the billionaires are be able to solve more problems for a lot of people. For a lot of people, if you hear, oh, that Apple today is what a 1.7 $1.8 trillion business, is what a $2.3 business is, and when it's rolling out the statistics of his product, his iPhone, his iPod, his it's what do you call it? Whatever the Apple Store, what the number of downloads, you will know that a larger chunk of people, have been involved in this. They've sold about 1 million, 2 million, 300, 3 million, products. So if you solve a problem for one person, of course, one person, whatever value you exchange in the process of solving that problem, might be limiting. But if, for instance, you solve a $1,000 problem for someone, you just have $1,000. But if that you solve the same problem for 1,000 persons, by the time 1,000 persons pay you, sorry, that's $1 million. That's $1 million. So what am I trying to say in essence is this: number one, you must know that your the issues you have, the what do you call it, the insecurities, the fears you have, they are just natural. The most confident people, including successful entrepreneurs, they've got insecurities, they've got fears, but they've been able to overcome those insecurities. So get that first of all. Then number two, if you have solved problem for anyone before, if you have solved your personal problems, if you have met the needs of anyone, then you are qualified to have a business. So what are the fears that are keeping you from starting a business? Number one is the fear of failure. Fear of failure. No one enjoys experiencing failure. Let me let you know that. No one experience, no one enjoys experiencing failure. For many people, sticking with an unfulfilling job is simply a better option than experiencing outright failure as an entrepreneur. Did you get that? That a lot of people will rather stick to their jobs that they are not finding fulfillment again. All they just get is their monthly pay or weekly pay wages, and they feel that is far better than risking entrepreneuring. So what am I trying to say in essence is, number one reason a whole lot of people don't get into business is the fear of failure. And I'm going to show you a whole lot of statements that have been made by successful people, by billionaires, when it touches failure. Someone said it might be very difficult to swallow, but failure can ultimately guide you in creating exceptional business ideas. Failures can make you or can guide you in creating exceptional business idea and can make you better entrepreneur. Just like what I said earlier. Whatever has made you solve a problem for yourself, whatever, in life, people want to come to you because you've been able to solve your problem. People follow leaders that ultimately has been able to lead himself. Nobody wants to follow you when you have not when you have not led yourself, because the number one most difficult person to lead is yourself. But people will gladly submit to your leadership when they know that you have led yourself. And when I say lead yourself, I mean you are disciplined enough with time. You have shown with your results that over the years you have led yourself. Over the years you have led yourself. So like I said, no one enjoys failure. So the fear you have is very natural. Is the fear everybody who is successful today, who is a billionaire today, and when they were about starting, but they started anyway. And I say this all the time: courage is not absence of fear. Actually, courage is walking into your fear. So your fear exists. Oh, look at several things like Oprah Winfrey, for instance, had a very fantastic quote on failure. Say failure is another stepping stone to greatness. Did you see that? So why will you be afraid of failure when failure is another stepping stone to greatness? Oprah Winfrey was one time the wealthiest black woman on earth. Was one time the wealthiest black woman on earth. She said that failure is a stepping stone to greatness. I have said a whole lot about companies that we admire today, and in the course of their growth, in the process of their growth, they have actually tried out products that have failed. They spent so much money on products, like I think it was last week I was telling us um, about Jeff Bezos, Amazon. When they tried out a product, they spent about $170 million. In few months, they discontinued the product. Michael Jordan also said that I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying. These are powerful nuggets you need to keep. He says, I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but what I can't accept is I can't accept not trying. Did you see that? So he said, I cannot accept not trying. So if Michael Jordan tells you that he can accept failure, that everyone fails at something, is a statement of fact. This is a statement of fact. Everyone, everyone, myself inclusive, fails at something at one point in time. You see, the what do you call it now? Every time or anytime you want to try anything new, you must expect to meet one issue or the other. That can actually bring about failures, because sometimes you paint all the beautiful pictures when you want to start a business, and then you just get there and you are stuck. Of course, if you have watched the previous episodes, you will have seen that we rolled out a whole lot 16 failed product by Amazon, a 20 failed product by Microsoft Word. By Microsoft. You remember that we talked about at one point, Microsoft bought Nokia for over $8 billion, and then rolled out telephone and what have you, smartphone, permit me. Few months after, that crashed, and it was more like a failure. It is only when you reach failure that you discover things. When you play it safe, you are not expressing the utmost of your human experience. I like this. It is only when you risk failure that you discover things. When you play it safe, you are not expressing the utmost of your human experience. So, the utmost of human experience is to fail again and again. The utmost of human experience is to fail again and again. When you risk failure, you discover a whole lot of things. I am a student of history. I'm also a student of invention. I like reading a lot about inventions. And I can tell you that when all the inventions, all the things we enjoy today were failures upon failures and what have you. In fact, I say it all the time. The invention that excites me most, that I had a higher risk of failure, was uh, um, what do you call it? The aeroplane, the first kite that Oval and Wilbur Wright actually, tried, flew for 59 seconds. And most of the, what do you call it, most of the airplane that they tried, some of them crash landed and people were there, you know. So, and even the X-ray, I was reading about the light actually penetrate inside in you. The lady who the inventor was a lady who came up with these ideas. She actually died of too much of exposure to light. Too much exposure to light. She died at a very young age. There were inventions you read and like, what are you thinking about? Because if you invent, if you're trying to invent a flying object like an aeroplane, for instance, you don't say, okay, let's see how it's done. Or for instance, you want to learn how to drive. Well, if after you have attended driving classes, you just have to get behind the wheel. Of course, it's my adage that says it's only the business that when you want to sell, what do you call it, a lion, that is when you point at that product. But every product you want to sell, you show people. So, for instance, you want to sell a lion to someone. You don't say, "Come and see my lion," because you won't live to buy that. It's you said that is the only thing you do from a distance. That is the only business you do from a distance. Every other thing you get yourself involved. When I was reading the airplane invention, I'm like, wow. You hardly finish a chapter without hearing that so and so who started the chapter died in the course of, experimenting it. Because you have to fly it. You put something in it, you have to, take off. And sometimes the crash landed, some of them got head broken, got leg broken, and what have you. So the utmost of human experience is when you risk failure. It's only when you risk failure that you discover things. So discovery is when you risk things. Merely sitting down and say, by April I'll start like two businesses. I'll do it like this. I'll do it like this. But the truth is, everything you say when you start, you might see that nothing, like that works. You know, Michelle Obama said, failure is part of the process. You just learn to pick yourself back up. Failure is a part of the process. Process to life. Failure is a part of the process. You just learn to pick yourself back up. So if you're starting a business, the fear of failure will not excuse you from failing. So when you get into the business, let nobody come to just cajole you or sweet talk you to say, oh, no, 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 it's not. No. Was it Richard Branson I was listening to? I was saying that when when it was talk when he started his company, the what do you call it now? Virgin Air. So when you put a 727 on air with human beings, he said that's the highest risk you can ever take in life. The man who just by the side say, I want to drive my Uber, it's just what the risk is not as high as somebody who says, I want to get into an aviation, industry. So Michelle Obama said, failure is a part of the process. You just learn to pick yourself back up. It is fine to celebrate success, Bill Gates said, but it is more important to eat to the lessons of failure. It is fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to eat to the lessons of failure. It is fine to celebrate success. It is more important to eat to the lessons of failure. Yes, you learn a lot, because it was even Bill Gates that said that success is a lousy teacher. It makes you feel you are untouchable. It makes you feel you are so smart. Success is a lousy teacher. But when you fail, you want to sit down. Of course, when organization fail, like I told us of Jeff Bezos, he said when they fail, when any of their products fail, he calls that their top executives call their product people and say, let's sit down. Where did you get it wrong? And of course, I think it was Microsoft. No, Apple. They actually failed when they threw out a product, but it was the lesson they learned that made them come up with a smartphone. So he said it is fine to celebrate success. Of course, the reason why we're here is so you should have success. But you must know that in the course of your pursuit of success, you must eat to the lessons of failure. You must eat to the lessons of failure. John F. Kennedy said, those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly. Those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly. John F. Kennedy stood in America and said, we're going to put a man in the moon. We're going to put a man in the moon. And then everybody said it's not possible. But the guy stood and said it was going to happen. He said it in 1960, and in 9 years after it was achieved, 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first man to land in the moon. So, what am I trying to say is this, and he's the one who says, those who dare to fail miserably, if you dare to say, whether I fail or not, I will get in, they are the one who achieve greatly. They are the one who achieve the greatest glory in living lives. Living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. The greatest glory in living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fail. There is no innovation and creativity without failure. I like this statement. Bold statement. It's a period. There is no, what do you call it? No innovation. No innovation without failure. Henry Ford. Okay, there is no innovation and creativity without failure. Period. There are no failures, just experiences. And this person just said, I don't believe there are failures, but these are just the experiences that you must have in the bid to have success. In the bid to have success. Henry Ford was the one who said, one who fears failure limits his activities. What a statement. Audacious for that matter. One who fears failure limits his activities. So if you want to break out of limitation, you must embrace failures. You must. There are no failures, just experiences and your reactions to them. There are no failures, just your experiences. Permit me to use the words of Bishop David Oyedepo. He said there was a time he was approached and said, do you ever have challenges? He said, maybe they came and I didn't know. He said, maybe the challenges came and I didn't know. Now, what am I trying to say? Just from the word of Tom Cruise, who said, there are no failures, just your experiences and your reactions to it. So Bishop Oyedepo, agree with Tom Cruise that maybe it came and I didn't know. So that's a man who feel that failure is part of the process. Failure is part of the process. All right, I like this statement also. Let the fear of failure be the background noise of your success. Let the fear of failure be the background noise of your success. Let the fear of failure be the background noise of your success. The number 2 reasons why people are afraid to start a business. The number 2 reason, I call that the imposter syndrome. This is a very powerful statement. The imposter syndrome. What does that mean? This is that feeling of self-doubt, the feeling of personal incompetence, and this persists. It doesn't matter whether you have education, experience, or accomplishments. This involves the feeling of self-doubt and personal incompetence. So the number 1 reason people don't make it in life, the number 2 reason, people are not successful in life is because of imposter syndrome. That is, you feel you are inadequate. You feel it shouldn't be you. Even when you are having the success, you feel it's just a fad. So self-doubt and the feeling of self-doubt, the feeling of personal incompetence, the feeling, and that feeling persists despite your education, despite your experience, despite your achievements. Imposter syndrome. A whole lot of people have this. They feel they are incompetent. Even with what they do, they feel that success to them is impossible. The feeling that success is impossible. The feeling that they are incompetent despite demonstrating, competency. the feeling of fear of not meeting another person's expectation. This is imposter syndrome, feeling like past successes and hard work were only due to luck, feeling incapable of performing at the same level every time, feeling disappointed over what current accomplishment, and feeling doubtful of successes. So imposter syndrome, gets into your mind, speaking to you at every point in time of failures. That even when you are successful, is a fad, it's just a luck. You may not be able to repeat it. The fear of not meeting up. Even the Bible also. You see, when I was doing this study, I said, oh wow, that is the reason for a long time the Bible does not want you to doubt. The man who doubts cannot get anything from God. Even with God, you cannot get anything if you have self-doubt, if you have the feeling of incompetencies, well, irrespective of your education, your experience, or your accomplishments. Imposter syndrome, the feeling that the success you have today was just a matter of luck. The feeling that you may not meet the expectation of your customers, of your clients. So therefore, that keeps you bound. And there is no height you get that those things don't come. Michelle Obama's had that, and she made this statement in one of the articles I read. He said, I still have imposter syndrome. It doesn't go away. That feeling that you shouldn't take me that seriously. That kind of feeling. What do I know? So, Michelle Obama, let's take a quote. I still have that little imposter syndrome. It doesn't go away. That feeling that you shouldn't take me that seriously. What do I know? I share that with you because we all have doubt in our abilities, about our power, and what that power is. Do you see that? I remember that Michelle Obama made a statement in the book Becoming. She said that when she finished college, she had the option of, I think, Harvard and Princeton or something. And she got to meet a college counselor. And the college counselor made, a very disturbing statement and said, um, that kind of school, that Ivy League school is not for somebody of her class. She felt so bad. She felt so bad. But few weeks after, she got admitted into Princeton, and then she went back to show her that your statement was really sad and all of that, but she got it. She went to Princeton, finished with good grades. Do you know that several years after that she became the first lady, when the husband was became the United States president, she said the thoughts, the statement of a college counselor visited her again, that she wasn't competent enough to be the first lady. Kill your self-doubt. Kill your self-doubt. You can't have imposter syndrome and get anywhere in life. Don't let others. Roy T. Bennett said this. Don't let others tell you what you can't do. Don't let limitations of others limit your vision. If you can't remove your self-doubt and believe in yourself, if you can remove your self-doubt and believe in yourself, you can achieve what you never thought possible. If you can remove your self-doubt, if you can remove your self-doubt and believe in yourself, you can achieve what you never thought possible. Listen to this advice. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. People judge you by their feeling, their perspective of you. People judge you. People want you to act based on their conclusion of you. They feel, oh, you are this, so you shouldn't go beyond this. You are this, so you shouldn't do beyond this. Don't let others speak to your mind such that it limits your potential. If you can just remove your self-doubt and believe in yourself, of course, if you get into the Bible, you will see that these were the things God was addressing every now and then. And every time Jesus wants to do anything, he will ask them, do you believe I can do it? So even to spiritual things, you can't have that success if doubt is stored up in your mind, if doubt is stored up in your spirit. So you must understand that imposter syndrome will limit you. It is PC Cast that say, I seek strength, not to be greater than other, but to fight my greatest enemy. And what is his greatest enemy? He said, the doubt within myself. I seek strength, not to be greater than other, but to fight my greatest enemy. He said, it is the doubt that lives within me. It is the doubt that lives within me. So you must get to know that the doubt in you will keep you small, will keep you from not achieving what you need to achieve. And then Susie Kazim said, doubt killed more dreams than failure ever will. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. When you doubt, you will kill your dream. And he said, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. So you must get to understand this. Imposter syndrome, throw it away. Believe in your infinite potential. You have such an infinite potential. Your only limitations are those ones you set on yourself. They are the only ones you set on yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in your abilities and your own potential. Never let self-doubt hold you captive. You are worthy of all that you dream of and hope for. You are worthy of that. So, imposter syndrome, trash it. That's one of the reasons a lot of people don't get into business. That's the reason a lot of people will never be successful. And the next is the fear of rejection. The fear of rejection, number 3. The fear of rejection. I have the next 12 minutes to say this. Wherever we stop tonight is fine. The fear of rejection. Let me say this, that in life, in business, whatever you do, rejection is inevitable. Whatever you do in life, rejection is inevitable. You will be rejected by friends. You will be rejected sometimes by family members, by brothers. Pin this word. Pin it. Maybe somewhere in your mind that rejection is inevitable. You want to be great in life? Oh my. Please sign it that you'll be very rejected. There's a word like that. The truth is, rejection can be a terribly bitter ordeal. Starting a business demands being able to deal with rejection from prospective investors, suppliers, vendors, and even your target customers. Some people are going to love your new product. Some people are going to love your business. Some people are going to love your service. Others will completely become uninterested or even actively dislike what you have to offer. Rejection can be terrible, no doubt, but it is not everyone that will love what you do. So pin that statement. Rejection is inevitable. In the success or in the journey of success, in the journey to become a billionaire, to create wealth, oh my, You will be so much, be rejected. I really wish I can have the okay. Let's have the next slide. Rejection and the fear. Okay, the key to focus on connecting with the audience you can, can benefit the most. Now let's get that the words of James Altucher, who says that rejection and the fear of rejection is the biggest we face to choosing ourselves. Rejection and the fear of rejection. Actually, that statement is, let's take that out. The rejection and fear of rejection, they are the parents of failures. They are actually the parent of failures. And let me let you know that rejection is not fatal. It's just someone's opinion of your idea. Rejection is not fatal. It's just someone's opinion. It is merely someone's opinion. It doesn't define you. So you must get to know that when you are rejected, you're on the right course. And you see, I found out in life that when you people actually reject things sometimes that are bigger than their mind. When you tell someone you want to create a machine that will fly, when all the scientists said this was an impossible feat in 1904, I read a story about the invention of airplane that says that at the time the engineers and the scientists in America were meeting, they converged at the place and they were saying that anything weightier than air cannot fly. It was at the same time Oval and Wilbur Wright in different space were focused on saying, okay, we can make um, things that are weightier than air to fly by the introduction of the law of aerodynamics. They were still deliberating on the law of gravity that says anything that goes up must surely be brought down. That, of course, the experiment was carried out further, and what do you call it? Something weightier, you know, um, maybe like a stone were dropped, and both, came down almost at the same time. So they were still on that notion that no, I think I'm sure I think I read somewhere that if God wants to make man fly, God will have created wings, in man. But there was something God put here that if it is well harnessed, then you can do the impossible. So Oval and Wilbur Wright were there, the sons or the children of a bicycle repairer, and all they were focused on is let's introduce the law of aerodynamics to counter the law of gravity. But scientists were still kept at this, saying anything weighted than air cannot fly. Now imagine if such a person comes to meet a billionaire scientist. He will tell you it's impossible. He will be rejected. I told us of the idea of Uber and Airbnb. When they meet, when they met investors. In fact, what was the name? Uber was the one who said he wrote to 25 investors and not just one, responded. When Jack Ma also told the few friends and whatever that he had, associate that he had at the beginning of his idea, all of them told him he was a fool. This will not fly. But we've said it, rejection is not fatal. It is just merely someone's opinion of what you have. Rejection is not fatal. It is merely someone's opinion. So don't take it to heart. Recognize that it is natural and normal to fear rejection. It is normal. The only thing wrong with it is if you allow the fear to dominate you so that it holds you back from fulfilling your potential in business. It is natural to be afraid. It is natural to fear. But don't allow your fear to stiffen your motion, to stiffen your ideas, to stop you from making progress. Make rejection the fuel that you need in your business. When you are rejected, rejection should become the fuel you need to be great at business. It should teach you how to be resilient. So master the art of rejection. Master it. When what do you call it? I've said it time and again. Larry Page and Sergey Brin visited the Yahoo guys. They were rejected too, but they got home. They said, "Okay, with the statement these guys told us, let's work with it." And today, that was the best business idea they got. Rejection actually tests whether you are serious about your business. Rejection actually tests to know whether you are serious about life. So you must get to know it. That is normal, it is natural to 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 have fear of rejection. What is wrong about it is that you allow that fear in such a way that you get, stiffened. You get demotivated by it. Don't allow that to get the best of you. I like what Jack Ma said. I listened to one of his talks. Jack Ma is not just a businessman. He motivates. He motivates. I don't think there's anybody who has rejected more than Jack Ma that I know. A business person that has been rejected more than Jack Ma. He said, "I failed a key primary school test 2 times." He has a chronicle of his failures. "I failed a key primary school test twice." He said, "I failed 3 times for the middle school." Did you see that? He said, "For 3 times, I tried and failed in the universities." He said, "I applied for job 30 times and got rejected 30 times." Hmm. He said, "I went to KFC when it came to China. 24 of us went for the job. 23 were accepted. I was the only one that got rejected." Applied for about 10 times. I got rejected 10 times. He said, "I think we have to get used to rejection. The only thing is to never give up. The only thing is to never give up. No matter how tough the chase is, you should always have the dream you saw on the first day." You see, no matter how tough, when you are, of course, for individuals who are in business, or if you want to start a business and you got an idea to start a business, and you were talking to people, whether investors or friends or families, and it seems like the more you talk to them about your idea, the more you are rejected. So you must, no matter how tough the chase is, no matter how it is, you should always have the dream you saw on the first day. It will keep you motivated and rescue you from weak thoughts. Ensure that you keep that in your mind, because that vision will always strengthen your motivation, will always keep you moving. So don't ever trash that. No matter how difficult, how tough the chase is, always have the dream you saw on the first day. That one that got you excited, that you feel like calling everybody. Call your spouse, you call the friend, you call your colleagues and say, wow, we've got the idea. We want to fly around the nations of the world. We want to do this. So what am I trying to say in essence is, no matter how tough, no matter how tough the chase is, you should always have the dream you saw on the first day. This is important. I'll take the last one for today, which I call indecision. Indecision. This is important as far as I'm concerned. A lot of the time, a lot of people are indecisive. You've got an idea and you want to get into a business, or you want to make moves, but you are so indecisive. Indecision and delays are the parent of failure. Indecision and delays are the parent of failures. Someone says, always remember that indecision is decision, no matter how you say it, but they are decisions that are against you. Indecision are decision, but they are decision that are that is always against you. Indecision. He says the man of decision cannot be stopped. The man of indecision cannot be started. Take your own decision. So I want you to please keep this in mind. I started by saying that if you have solved a problem for yourself, if you have helped a friend in need, if you have met the needs of your children in the past, if you have done anything for anyone that makes them happy, that qualifies you to be to that qualifies you to own a business. Because when that help, when that solution you rendered or provided is commercialized, that is business on its own. So pay attention to these needs you've been able to solve and pay attention to the solution you even enjoy giving to people. For instance, I love what I'm doing. I like to sit down, do a research. I like to teach people. I like to feed people with information. I just love it. When I sit to read, to study, and I get to see new things, I'm looking for the next person to communicate that to. Oh yes, that's the business. Oh, I sit down, I say, oh, I got this idea. I want to use it to save someone. So when someone calls me, I'm always very, eager to say, oh, I just learned something a few minutes ago. I just learned something 1 hour ago. I think this will bless you. I think this will impact you. I think this will change you. That is the way to go. So if you have solved problem for someone, if you have met anybody's needs, if you have provided solution to someone's need at one point or the other, that qualifies you to have a business. That's like your business idea. That's like your business idea. If you look at a man from head to toe, you will see that there's something you can do for that person to make them happy. There's something you can do for such person to make them happy. And what is business? It is solving someone's problem in exchange of a value. Money could be that value. It's solving a problem. So whatever fear you have, like we've said 3 or 4 things tonight, and that is the fear of failure. And then we talked about the imposter syndrome, when you think you're inadequate, your self-doubt. Kill that self-doubt. And then we talk about rejection. Oh yes, be ready to be rejected. And the last thing I said was indecision. You must understand that indecision and delays are the parent of failures. Indecision, whether you like it or yes, indecisions are equally decision doubt, and they are always against you. So thank you for connecting to Economic Summit tonight. Every Thursday will be coming to ensure that we stir you up so you can at least make a decision. We want you to crush that indecision decision. I said indecision is a decision. So crush that indecision decision. I want you to kill that self-doubt, that mentality that you are not good enough, that mentality that you cannot meet, what do you call it, your customers' needs. No. And know it that when you're getting into business, when you want to become very successful, your ideas sometimes will get people offended. Your ideas might look weird, so you might be rejected. Remember the story of Google guys. How could you say you want to do a search engine and you will not, you don't want to, you want the home page to be so clean? You should make money like that. So you're going to be giving people free. How come? It doesn't sit well, or it didn't sit well then. Or we want to have an hotel and it's your house, Airbnb. We want to have want to get into the what do you call it, car industry, or transport industry. Permit me, transport industry, and all we want to do is to use someone as a vehicle. It didn't look like it's a business, but it is today globally. So thank you, everyone. Please ensure that 1, 2, 3 statement that you enjoy, look into it and see how you can develop it, so that between now and then, the end of the year, we can sit down together and say, okay, let's have a billionaire meeting and what have you. And you are becoming a billionaire for the first time as a result of these things we're saying. You think you cannot become it? I will continue on this next week because I have about 8, points. I've just said 4 now. So thank you, and we're still on that series. How they started, the world's biggest companies. So as part of the things I saw, what I've taught this night, that is the fear. They had the fear, but they were able to overcome it. So thank you very much. It's Economic Summit. I'll see you next week, God's willing. Bye for now. Have a good night rest.